What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Parker Chronicles podcast. I am your host, the Parker XP, and joining me is my co-host. He's down there. He's down there somewhere. The Nemesis Angel, my brother from another mother, and my guest for the next 6 weeks of the show, the RE expert and the queen of horror games, PiggyWhisperRiine. Welcome. Yes, take a bow, take a bow. How are you? And welcome.
Hot. I'm so sweaty. Not because of rain.
It's just hot. This entire world is just hot.
This whole place, it's just burning. Anyways. Yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
I am happy you are here because I don't think Resident Evil, when it comes to anything Resident Evil, I do not think of anything that has to do with this entire franchise and not think of your name attached to it. And somehow, some way, somehow, Resident Evil and Piggy go together so well. And that's why you're here, because you are the Resident Evil expert. And unfortunately, we're not talking about the games primarily. We will talk about the games and how they link, how certain things link up to these movies. But we are talking about the Paul W.S. Anderson films. 6 of them. Can we just state that right now? There are 6 of these. So buckle up. This is the longest series of the show so far. I think the longest was Jaws. We did 5, right? There were 5 movies? Yeah. So this will be the longest series so far. So yeah, this is the Parker Chronicles podcast where we review, dissect, and rank your favorite film franchises. As I said, the next 6 weeks we will be talking about every single Resident Evil film. Will be, listen, I've said this before. Even if I like a movie, I will critique it and say things I don't like about it. That's just how this works. That's how reviewing a movie works. There's always
don't enjoy watching movies as much after starting this because I critique them a little too much. I'm like, oh my god, I don't like that part. I don't like that part.
I'm similar.
I liked when that was simple. I was like, yeah, this is good. It's entertaining. And now I'm like, nope. I can talk about this on the podcast. I don't like that.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, so even if we like the movie, we will state things that we don't like about it. That's just how it works. This will be an easy one because we won't have to. This is the first film of the franchise, so we'll only be ranking it up against itself. So everything on the board will be number 1, but we'll still do it at the end just to, add a couple minutes of content for you, pad the stats there. So yeah, we, as we stream this live every Sunday. I want to say a time, but it's kind of up in the air sometimes. But we do it every Sunday. So right now we're doing Resident Evil. Next week we'll be doing Resident Evil Apocalypse. And we do it live on twitch.tv/theparkerxp. And then on Mondays we upload it to all your favorite podcast services. So if you can't watch it live, you can listen to it, which is what I do every week.
You listen to our podcast?
I do. I critique myself. All right.
I don't like my own voice, so like I listen.
I don't either.
Oh God, there's that.
When you're making content, you have to watch yourself so that way you know where you're falling flat.
I'm watching myself right now, and I hate it. Like I'm looking at myself talk, and
I have to listen to it. I have to listen to it and determine whether or not I have to replace you at some point.
You probably should. I mean,
oh man. Boy. All right.
You texted me during a very important fibbage match. You're like, you gonna make it tonight?
I just have to throw it out there. Okay.
I had to make up a good answer.
Oh, well, I hope you won.
I did.
So today we were talking about Resident Evil released March 15th, 2002, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. This is not Paul W.S. Anderson's first foray into video game movies. He actually directed the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. And And Resident Evil wasn't his last video game movie to direct. He actually directed 2020's Monster Hunter movie, which starred his wife, yes, Mila Jovovich. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, and I will do it all show. She stars in that.
Is married to?
Yes, they are married. They
Boy,
were
that's
not
something.
married. They were not married when this movie came out. They
Well, I
married
wonder
after.
I wonder if he knows how to say her name.
Probably. I hope so.
I doubt it.
Nah, probably.
Probably.
You never
He's
know.
like, yeah, Mila. Last name.
Yeah, Jay.
Mila.
Mila J.
Mila something. Yeah, I know you.
Oh man, so this movie was budgeted at an estimated $33 million and grossed about 102. So it just made over $100 million, which then was like, we got to do a sequel. We made $100 million, got to make a sequel. And then it just kept going. And Resident Evil movies were made, the live action movies were made from 2002, and the last one came out in 2016. 14 years this franchise, the movie franchise, has been around.
That's disgusting.
Oh boy.
Young.
Before we get into any trivia and all of that, let's go around the room and talk about what we thought of the movie. And we're going to start with our guest, Piggy. What did you think of Resident Evil?
So I remember very explicitly my first reaction to watching the Resident Evil movie. The very first one in theaters, the day it released, on the midnight release, and I was with my dad. We were hyped. We were so excited for this because my dad and I have played Resident Evil since the first one came out. I remember my dad forbidding me from playing it, blah, blah, blah. I didn't listen because I was that kid. And so when this movie came out, my dad and I never went to the theaters much, and we only did for very specific things like this. And it was such a beautiful movie. The cinematics were great. The CGI was top notch. Everything was amazing. I loved it. And all the action sequences are just absolutely beautiful. There's enough of the Resident Evil story that it really keeps you interested for both longtime players and also brand new fans to the movie franchise, not just the video games. And then on top of it all, it has a really good ending to leave it open for more or just to leave it as one. I thought it was great. It was beautiful. I remember adoring this movie. I watched it last night and I feel things.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of things that I didn't feel when I was a child.
Why do I feel the same way?
It was a thing. And there's a lot to talk about today.
Yes, there is a lot to talk about. Nemesis, what are your thoughts?
I feel like we were just talking about this before she joined the call, is that I feel it's the same. Like, when I first watched this movie, I felt like I loved and entertained. I still didn't mind it, but I felt like it was so entertaining, so fun. The story was cool, all this, and then I watched it, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, it's like I told you, it's like a too fast paced, like DMX style music video going on. Like, there's too much going on. I'm like, all right, why is that happening? Why is this happening? Like, it's too fast paced. It's too like aggressive, I guess you would say. Like, it's your first movie, and to me, it was like now watching it as an older person, it's like, okay, you probably could have took it down a notch on some of these parts or done this with this. When I first watched it, I probably loved it because I was young and I loved that fast paced stuff. But like I told you before, it was just like, it was literally like I imagine it as a DMX music video, like party up, like it was so fast. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, it was just so much. But I overall, I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, I think it's it's still entertaining. It's just not what I liked back when I was younger. That's pretty much the best way I could put it.
Yeah, I'm watching it last night. I don't remember laughing as much watching it as a kid as I did yesterday. I was just cracking up at some parts. The soundtrack is ridiculous. It's a typical early 2000s soundtrack where it's just that heavy metal, just like some part, like the music was just off for this movie. Some of the acting was really piss poor. The CG work, wow. Especially on the main creature, the creature that breaks out of the containment. CG was bad. Like Jurassic Park came out 8 years prior or 9 years prior to this, and the CG is so much better in that than it was in this movie. And it's not like they used a lot of CG, because even with the zombies, those are all just, you could tell they're all just people in makeup. It's like The Walking Dead. Like there wasn't a lot of CG. You had some CG with the zombie dogs, and you had them with this creature or whatever. Did it have a name? I didn't catch it.
That one is the liquor.
Okay.
They don't specifically reference it in the movie.
Okay.
Because they never explain anything on the liquors.
Yeah.
But the games also don't explain anything on the liquors either. They just kind of exist. So
right. Yeah.
It's the liquor. Okay.
I thought Michelle Rodriguez, man, she kicks ass. I don't care how she has the same facial expression this entire movie, and to be honest, she plays the same character in every movie she's in. But damn, is she awesome? She has
that same face in every film.
Listen,
her facial expression doesn't change. I'm pretty sure it's frozen like that.
The eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like 8-year period where I watched anything that she was in just because of Resident Evil. And when I was like in 2002, I was 10 years old. Back then, I was like, I'm gonna marry that woman. Like, I am in love with her.
Right.
And ever since then, like up until I pretty well graduated high school, I would just watch anything that she was in, and she looks exactly the same.
Yes, she does.
She wears the same outfit. She wears she is the same character, and it's like I don't understand if she's typecasted. Just
100%
really
she is.
More,
yeah.
Or if that's just how she acts.
Yeah. I've heard she's a very very nice person. But yeah, she's super intense. But I can guarantee she was typecasted. She's just very good at being intimidating. Like she's just super intimidating, and you need that, like in that group of soldiers or agent or whatever they were, she's easy to just, we needed that intimidating, doesn't give a shit. No, like she doesn't care about it. Like she is just there she wants to just kill everything. She's a badass. And Michelle Rodriguez, even today in 2021 with Fast 9 came out Friday, she's in it and she's still a badass all these years later. Like Michelle Rodriguez is awesome. I first saw her in The Fast and the Furious, which came out the year prior. And I was like, this girl she's a badass. And then I remember seeing Resident Evil when I think I saw it the year it came out. And I was just like, she was my favorite character. Her and Mila were my favorite characters, and Mila, in my opinion, was the best character in this movie, which is good because she's the main character. Like her and Michelle are pretty even par, but like Mila Alice being the main character, I'm like, thank God, because everybody else other than her and Michelle, they were kind of just throwaways. Get the fuck out of here. They died. You're like, oh, like I didn't even feel bad for any of them dying. They just like, they die and you're like, all right, let's move on.
The one that I did feel bad for dying was Kaplan.
Yeah, he saw some shit. He saw some shit, and the emotion that he puts off after seeing like everyone get lasered in that room, and he's shaking the whole time. And yeah, he was a good one. But then he had all your typical soldiers, like the chick who gets sliced, and you're like, are you stupid?
They didn't even say looking. Like,
what is happening? Bob, what's up, Bob? What's going on, man? All right, we're doing a new segment since we have a Resident Evil expert here. Since this movie is not a direct rip from the game. But there are references, of course, to the game in this movie and future movies. We're going to have a segment called Movie versus Game. Pretty much, I want, Piggy, you are to pretty much spew all of the differences and the similarities between this movie and Resident Evil. And I know there are there references to more than one Resident Evil game in this movie? Or is it just kind of a throwback to the original Resident Evil?
They have several references to several different games. I could go through all of them, but I will just hit them as we go through the movie itself and like analyze
That works.
kind of step by step as the movie goes on.
All right.
Because yeah, there's several of them. They're quite vague if you don't actually know what you're looking for. So.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, just cut me
I
off
don't know what I'm looking
anytime
for.
there's a scene where you want to talk. Just cut me off. It's fine. Just ask Dan and Ara how this works, and you'll have it down pat. Just keep going. And of course, every single time I'm like, I'm going to go through IMDb's trivia section and pull some really good facts. And then I forget to do that. So I look like an idiot when I'm scrolling through the trivia section of IMDb trying to find some good trivia. Yeah.
You're doing good. Proud of you.
Oh yeah, if we did talk about how Mila Jovovich
It's
is-
Jovovich.
is married to Paul W.S. Anderson, who is the director of this one. And I found out he did not direct 2 and 3, but he did write the script for it. So he's the screenwriter for that. And then he directed 4, 5, and 6, I believe.
Terrible.
Right?
All of them.
Wait, what's terrible?
All of the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
good.
is probably the one that I am least offended by.
Funniest thing was
There we are.
Resident Evil, the final chapter, was the best reviewed movie on Metacritic of all the Resident Evil movies. And one of Paul W.S. Anderson's highest rated movie on Metacritic. Not on IMDb, but on Metacritic.
No, let's not joke around here. Let's just go over the fact that 1 and 2 were the only ones to get above 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
But
just
we
talk about
decided to
that.
make 4 more. Rosie!
Honestly,
I'm not going
like-
through it. I am not going through another Jaws series, am I?
No.
no, this is Resident Evil.
The worst
No, I
Resident Evil
know.
movies are better than the worst Jaws movies. I have a really strong feeling about this.
Can we get a series that gets above a 6? Like,
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
What's the fun in
can we
that?
watch-
What's the fun
Something
in that?
Can we watch fucking Teletubbies then? Like, what the
That's
fuck
a
are we
sh-
doing?
Super
did they
down
make
for a Teletubbies review in like
right?
several months.
Ah. Oh man.
God.
So this movie was originally supposed to be titled Resident Evil Ground Zero, but the title was changed to just Resident Evil because it was changed due to 9/11. The movie was, the production of it finished before 9/11. They had their title. 9/11 happened. They had to change their title because it just
Well, they probably didn't have
Wasn't
to,
a good
but
idea.
probably out of respect.
Yeah, like that's understandable.
No.
I have absolutely zero issue with that.
Yeah, I feel like it was more out of respect because they don't have to do anything. They could have done whatever they wanted.
Yeah. They definitely could have just released it with
Yeah.
the name and not changed anything. But I mean, the movie did terribly, so I think the reason they did as good as
Listen,
they
it didn't do as
did
terrible as
because
the
name.
other 3 that got a 5.2. God, I think Rugrats in Paris got better than this. Actually, I love the Rugrats in Paris, so I
Oh
can't.
man.
Because I don't know if you know this, Nemesis. I have not watched the final 3 Resident Evil movies because they are
What?
that bad.
I watched them all, and I gotta say, So
I watched 1, 2, and 3.
nice weather we're
Three,
having. So
three. I don't remember.
I just remember
anything.
3 being in a desert. That's all I remember. It was the desert.
Does it matter where it is?
And I watched it in high
desert
school.
and a bus.
Yeah.
No, I say so. I watched them all, but I gotta say, well, they're definitely better in the Jaws movies. That's for sure.
We'll see
about
that.
Are you kidding me? Nothing's worse than that last movie we just watched. I wanted to rip my eyes out. I made every excuse to walk. I was like, I gotta pee. I gotta pee. I didn't have to pee. I just want to go away. I wanted
Okay,
to.
super off topic, but have you seen the movie The Room?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Wow, and you think this is like what you watched last was worse than that, and that is.
Did you, Piggy? I would say watch the movie, the last Jaws movie. Well, it's not even an official Jaws movie.
Just watch it on YouTube, and you'll hate your life for an hour and a half. You will literally sit there, and your eyes might bleed. They might bleed.
Rosie, movie night. Let's knock them out. Back cat. Thanks for the rain.
My friend.
The Room. I swear to God.
Back cat. Thanks for the rain. Oblivion Shay. What's up?
I tried typing in, and I got the ROM. No, I don't want the ROM. I don't know what the ROM is.
This is a Resident Evil podcast. Yet it's been a while since we talked about it.
We got off topic of just
absolutely horrible movies, Nemesis is getting just very upset.
Why is there 100 The Rooms? Is this a
because there are like several of them that were remade. If you've seen Disaster Movie was made in reference to the Room.
Disaster Artist.
Which one? 2003, 2019, 2000. Which year are we in?
Oh, you're looking way back. I'll send you a link to it. I got you.
Oh God.
I'll ruin your life.
Stop. Hush. I just clicked on a trailer. I didn't want that. All right. Okay. Oh,
all right. Are you good there, Nemesis? You didn't take a breather?
No, I'm good. Go ahead. I got everything I need.
Man. So some of the Capcom presidents of Capcom Japan and America made cameos as zombies in this movie. Of course, Capcom is the company that created Resident Evil. The director, the studio at one point wanted to make this a PG-13 movie. Thank God they didn't, because it would have been worse than it already was. So yeah, and we wouldn't have seen
zombies.
Yeah, right. No, thank you.
They would have had Play-Doh coming out their nose.
The code that Kaplan couldn't remember when they're trying to open the door, they couldn't remember what the code was. It was actually 04031965. It's actually Paul W.S. Anderson's birthday. Was the code that they used to get into that door.
Well, you should have told him. Then he would have been able to open the door.
Yeah.
And the real reason Mila Jovovich took the role was because her brother was a huge Resident Evil fan. And so, why not?
Well, how disappointed was he?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, listen. Yeah.
I disowned her.
Oh.
Sister, I don't like you anymore. We're not family.
Oh man. Does anybody?
You're not see, the thing is that you're not aggressive tonight, and it's not okay. Like, you got to be.
Who's not? I'm not aggressive tonight.
Yeah, you're gonna sit there and go, "Oh, okay." No, you think this movie was great, huh?
No, I didn't think this movie was great.
No, tell me about it.
I already told you what I thought about it. And then when we go through the plot, I will then critique things as I see it, because I know there's a bunch of things in my notes that say, "What the fuck was that? What the fuck is that?"
No, that's a hashtag.
Why did that happen?
That's a hashtag. We should put a hashtag somewhere. Hashtag what the fuck?
Oh man.
No, we should have had a hashtag in the last one. It's a hashtag why the fuck are we doing this? That's what it should have been. Because that was horrible.
Oh.
I'm actually happy with this, because this was 100 times better than the last movie I watched. So that's good.
You mean better? What are you talking about? We watched Twister. That was the last movie we watched.
No, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, whatever.
But that's like That's a classic.
All right. Does anybody, Piggy, do you have any trivia in your head that you want to tell us before we get to the plot?
Trivia?
Yeah. Anything
Not
you can
so
think
much.
of?
One of the major things that I did really enjoy about the movie is the fact that they actually had only 3 of the dogs that they used, and the dogs were specifically trained so they could put like it's like sinew on them. It's not like it's not like plastic or anything. They put like meat sinew on the top of the dogs to make them look like they were zombies. And I thought that was super cool because I always thought it was CGI. And then they just used real like meat fat and just spread that out and put it on the dogs. And I was like, how do you train a dog to do that? It blew my mind.
That's I always thought that was really cool.
Eat that.
Hmm?
How a dog doesn't eat that? That's impressive.
Yeah, that's the thing that blew my mind was that they trained the dogs to not eat the sinew. And
if I put that on my dog, he would just sit. He would twirl in circles and try eating.
Yeah, and like eat it off of its own butt. Yeah. But instead, they managed to have these wonderfully trained dogs, and the dogs are amazingly trained. I watched a video on how they were, and like after watching the whole movie and doing what research I did on it, even long before this, the only real captivating thing is those dogs. Like they're just so cool. I like acting dogs.
I appreciate them more now because I thought they were CGI. I really did. But I appreciate them more now. I think that's cool. I think that's wow.
So another thing is there is actually very little CGI in the movie. A lot of it is just makeup and special effects. The liquor, of course, is severely CGI'd and poorly now. Now that we're older, we can see it. So the liquors are very badly CGI'd, and a lot of the fight scenes with them are very poorly CGI'd just because they're fighting a CGI monster. The only parts of the dogs that are CGI is when Mila kicks one.
Yep.
And
it crashes through the window, I think, right?
Yeah, and the ears, throat, and teeth of the dogs when they do very close-ups of everything, because there's one where like one of them doesn't have a throat. This part of the one that doesn't have a throat is CGI, but the rest of the dog is a real dog. And
like the teeth were all weird. Yeah,
and there's one where it like comes up really close to the side of one, and it's like got a gnashed face, and its ear is all ripped up and stuff. The injuries to the dog are all CGI, but the dog itself, it's actually a frozen picture of a dog. It doesn't move.
Oh, yes.
Because like when I was younger, I thought it was just brilliant. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And last night I was just like, bruh, it's just a picture that they just CGI'd. They just like plastered it on there. It's so good.
The dogs. Best actors of the movie, the dogs. Bravo.
Look how easily we're tricked, though. You know? The human brain so easily manipulated.
Oh yeah, when we were kids, I definitely thought it was all special effects. But I mean, boy, seeing the liquor for the first time when it breaks out of the containment, I was just like, are you kidding me? They couldn't have done any better. This is CG from the Sci-Fi Network. Like, this is bad. And it just doesn't get any better. I know that I wonder though, the scene at the end where it's inside the train car and she stabs it in the tongue. I feel like there was some practical there. Like very minor practical when it zooms in on it.
Yeah, so the tongue itself, like when she stabs it and it's like flailing around and stuff, that is practical effects.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure if any part of the actual liquor when she stabs it is practical, but the tongue itself is.
Makes sense.
So there is a surprisingly little amount of CGI in the movie, which was something that blew me away because as a child I thought there was far more. And because it's readily apparent now, I'm just like, Good on you guys for doing a lot of practical stuff.
Uh, that's the thing, like with because like I said before, Paul W.S. Anderson, he directed Mortal Kombat in 1995. There's a lot of practical effects in that. Of course, it came out 7 years before this movie, but he's very into the like. He's somebody who is very like. He just looked like he was into doing practical effects. I know one of his favorite directors was Steven Spielberg, and Jurassic Park having a lot of practical effects. Practical effects are cool if you can do it right. But with the problem is that CG has just gotten so good that people just they got away from it, and it's sad because still today I want to see, like, I would rather see, like, when I saw Jurassic World and there was like maybe 30 seconds of practical effects in that movie, I was upset because, like, that's the whole point of Jurassic Park. Like that scene where the T-Rex puts his head in front of the car when it breaks out, like that's a real animatronic head that they get to react to. Like, I couldn't imagine being an actor having to react to a tennis ball or some dude holding like a stick with a picture of the whatever the hell it's playing against. It's crazy. But good on directors who still to this day use practical effects, because practical effects are awesome.
Practical effects make your stuff last longer too.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of film people seem to not fully care to grasp anymore. It's like they want to get the most bang for their buck in the movie industry, but the fact of the matter is that in 10 years, is your movie going to be watchable? And a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are not watchable now because of how bad the CGI is. And yeah, we were fooled for that first year, but where are we now? We're not rewatching your shit. That's where we are.
To be honest, if we weren't doing this show, I don't know if I'd ever watch this movie again. Like, I don't think I would have watched this movie again because it just wasn't like I've watched it many times throughout, from the time it came out to probably I was in high school the last time I saw this. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. But then it was like bigger and better things came out that caught my attention and were better. Unfortunately, one of those series had to be Transformers, and that doesn't that's oh god. I could go into so much just spew and garbage about that franchise at another time. But yeah, if I probably won't ever watch this movie again. It just, after watching it yesterday, it was laughable. Like I said, me and my wife were watching it. We were laughing out loud at certain parts. Like, what the hell was that? Like, come on, what is going on? And I want to say who wrote this, but I know the director wrote this. So
you're like, I know who wrote this.
The sad thing is like, for one, it's funny to critique like the acting in the CG and stuff in this movie being the first movie of the franchise. But we all have to remember when the first Resident Evil game came out in 96 is when the first game came out. That game, had some of the worst voice acting in video game history. Yes. Probably in history, not just video games, but in animation, anything that has voice acting in it. Resident Evil, the original game from 1996 for the PlayStation 1, had the worst voice acting ever.
It is almost unplayable. Like, it is this close to being unplayable now because the graphics are terrible.
Oh, yeah.
The controls are terrible. The voice acting is terrible. And the directions in the game, you get absolutely none. This is back in the day when figure it out for yourself. Hopefully you can.
Yep.
And like, a big thing that my dad got mad at me for, but ultimately ended up letting me continue playing the game, is the puzzles in the game. My dad got stuck on one and I passed it. And so when he caught me playing it behind his back, he got really mad at me and grounded me from the game at first. And then he went and checked my save file and he was like, wait a minute, how did you get past this? And I was like, I won't tell you unless you let me play it after I'm done being grounded. And he was just like, and it took him like 4 or 5 hours. He kept trying. And then he was like, fine, teach me how to get past this. And I will let you play it once you're done being grounded. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, that's
awesome.
how bad the game is. And it, despite all of that, it is still a cult classic. Like, people will still die by it being their favorite game. And it's like, have you played it recently? Have you? Because it's rough. It's a rough ride.
Yeah. I mean, I played and beat the original Resident Evil back in the day. And I think I just ignored it. How bad the voice acting and stuff, like the Jill sandwich. Oh my fucking god! One of the worst lines ever. This game, the Resident Evil. I have fond memories of playing that game. That and Resident Evil 2. I loved playing, PlayStation games, and those two games. I remember the dog scene in the game. The dog jumped through the window, and I actually got scared. Like, I was like, "Oh shit, what is happening?" And of course, yeah, but the scariest part of that game and RE2 and RE3 was the terrible controls on how to move your character and how the hell get out of things, man. Like, you're trying to get the fuck out of a room because you got 3 zombies in a hallway and you got 3 bullets. I gotta get out, but I can't figure out where the fuck I am because the controls are so bad. Yeah, that was the most infuriating. That's the scariest part.
Talking about old games, and we're talking about zombies. No game will ever beat Zombie Saved by Neighbors. So,
well, we're talking about Resident Evil right now, sir.
No,
we'll talk about that another time.
Resident Evil. What I'm talking about is Resident Evil. But she said the first one, if you replay, it's bad. I will replay that old. What was it? N64. Oh my god. One of the best.
No, it was on Super Nintendo.
Or I don't.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Sure. Great game. All right, if we don't have any other trivia or facts to go about, let's start the plot of Resident Evil 2002. We open with a really cool voiceover by a very deep voice man talking about the Umbrella Corporation. I don't know everything he says because I didn't read it and write it all down. But he says things about how Umbrella is pretty much everywhere and they control everything, and you pretty much every home in America or the world or whatever has some sort of Umbrella product in their house. Piggy, if I say anything wrong during this plot synopsis, you correct me.
I got you.
So we get the epic voiceover guy talking about that, and then you get the cool title card of Resident Evil, which what do we think about the title card, like the font for the title of this movie? Like, I mean, this is a font that they use for all of them.
I know, like, it's a nice font, but it makes Resident Evil seem far more, like, technically inclined than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, yeah, Umbrella is this big giant tech company, but Umbrella was never supposed to be the main focus of any of this. So Umbrella was just kind of like the people who did the thing, and the rest of it is you trying to save the world. Mm-hmm. So I would have preferred a more blunt, drastic, and possibly even like distressed looking font. But it is easily readable, it is easily recognizable, and like when you see the font, the first thing you'll ever think of is Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
So
at least they stuck with it for all 6 movies. I know a lot of film franchises that'll change like the way that the name of the movie looks. I know Transformers did it, which was annoying.
So,
it's like, but it looks so good. Just leave it.
What I'll say about them. What about like for the font? The only thing I did like is like with the R, how it's like elongated. It's like almost like the plague symbol Like it's almost kind of
Yeah.
foreshadowing. It's like a foreshadow for that. So that's the like I can understand that what you're saying about the rest of it, but that R I can understand as like a foreshadow for the plague kind of thing. The rest is kind of very
It's
Yeah.
not like the game.
it's just the R. That's all I got. The
All
rest
right.
is
So then we get our nice zoom. It's like the Matrix. I know there's a scene in the Matrix like this where it's a zoom out shot where you see there's something going on in the distance and then it slowly zooms in, and it's a lab worker moving around some vials of what we later find out to be the T virus and the antivirus, which in the movie we know that, what is it? Blue is the virus and green is the antivirus. Yes.
Because I always misheard that as the virus screams for the antivirus because she always mumbles it and it's really quiet. So I always thought it was the virus screams for the antivirus. And I was like, well, that makes sense because you don't want to become a zombie. Like,
right.
I get it. And then I watched it with subtitles last night and it was like blue for the virus, green for the antivirus. And I was like,
when did they say this?
what? When did they change that?
So we got some. We get this happening, and then we get a shot of, you don't see who throws it, but you see a vial of the virus fly through the air, crash in the floor of the lab, and then you see like the cool effects of like the vapors going into the air ducts, which will then travel around the whole building, which at this moment you think it's a building, like you think it's a skyscraper, like you think because they show a scene where a guy's carrying his coffee, walking into an elevator, and he gets hit by somebody who you'll later find out who it is, and he spills his coffee, and then you got the big windows, and it looks like there's a city out there, but you later find out it's not. So the lab workers are slowly making their way to work. You got the people who work in the lab. You got some office workers, people who are wearing their suit and ties and all that. You got people going to the elevator, and then everything. Then there's a lockdown because the security cameras, which you find out is the Red Queen, the one who watches everything happening. She pretty much locks down the entire facility, causing the elevators to just stop. The lab then closes completely, and then the sprinklers go off while it's sealed, which for the duration of this movie, especially when you see what happens to them later on, my wife's like, it filled up with water that fast? Like, they were at like knee-high water within minutes. It's like,
right?
What is these? Are these sprinklers? How much water is this sprinkler system? But no.
Those are some like awesome ass sprinklers. Ain't no fire surviving this.
And also, there's no drains?
No.
Okay.
No.
Terribly designed lab. Terribly designed.
So like when you understand what Umbrella's like doing, right? Where they're testing with things like the T virus and stuff like that, and the progenitor virus and all those things, because the T virus is technically just an advanced version of the progenitor virus. And so when they're dealing with all of that, are you gonna want any extra of that to go into a drain?
No, yeah, you don't want people accidentally getting exposed to it.
But
I guess it wasn't a completely bad design, but
look how that worked out. We're 6 movies deep.
It's like, this is the part that we're just like, we don't believe this, and like there's 6 more movies of just garbage.
I just questioned the entire time, like, why did they even make this?
Are we gonna watch the animated ones too?
Oh God.
The animated ones are probably better.
Are they better?
They're actually good. So all of them, I have found them to be good, at least better than these ones.
I mean, how long?
But that's awkward.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Maybe we will.
I'll figure out the order that the animated movies go in, and then we can talk about them, because I still don't know.
I don't think I've seen any of them.
2.
Um,
1, 2, 3.
so we see some. These are Dobermans, right?
Yeah,
The
these are
dogs.
Dobermans with the trimmed ears and the docked tails.
Yeah. Just no bueno. Don't do that to your dogs.
No, bad practices.
Yeah. So the dogs are going crazy during this lockdown. The elevator. There's actually 2 elevators, and you have your core group that's in the one of the elevators, but then you hear something happening, and it pans out, and it's the other elevator just falling super fast, and then it crashes, killing everybody inside. But you don't see anybody in that elevator. So everybody's terrified because they hear it, and then their elevator starts falling, but then the brakes get put on pretty much right before they're going to crash. The virus then is pretty much unleashed. Everybody's trapped, so everybody is getting exposed to the virus. We have one woman trying to pry open the door of the elevator, and she's like, I can fit. How the hell did she think she was going to fit through that? What? It's like that big, lady. I couldn't fit my arm in there.
It's a foot wide max, and like it's a foot tall and like 8 inches wide. And she's like, I can fit in that. And it's like, are you gonna break your like one clavicle and shoulder so you can fit in there? What are you thinking?
Barely fit her head in there.
Like, she's really pretty. So it's just like
sad.
But why? Couldn't you
Yeah.
have done like anybody else on the elevator? Anybody?
She barely fit her head out that hole. And of course, the elevator then kicks back on, and the elevator drops, and she gets scared, but then it drops perfectly, like where it doesn't do any damage, but then it shoots back up and chops her head off. This is actually a reference. So the computer system, or whatever the hell it's called the Red Queen. The Red Queen watches it's an AI, right? It's an AI that watches over Umbrella, and she is controlling everything that's going on. And it's actually, because she's called the Red Queen, it's a reference to Alice in Wonderland, where the Red Queen is off with her head.
Yeah.
So it's a reference to that. So the lady gets her head chopped off, and that's a cool reference to Alice in Wonderland.
So if you all want a really fun fact about elevators and elevator accidents like this where they free fall, at 3 stories up, if you lay on the bottom of the elevator, do not jump. Don't ever jump when your elevator is in free fall. Don't do that. Because then what happens is you hit the top from the elevator being forced down, because the elevator is heavier than you, so it falls faster.
Right.
And it will hit you, and then it'll suddenly stop. You will hit the top of that, and then you will hit the bottom, and then it will cave in on you, which causes 4 different causes of impact. Whereas if you lay on the bottom, it's just going to crumble on top of you, kind of like a can coming, like being squished down. And from 3 stories up, you could still survive. You might be injured pretty severely, and you probably will have a really nasty concussion, but all of those people could have lived. All of them.
I guess it's all about.
How about this? I don't ever want to be in that position.
I don't think anybody does.
It's not a great position to ever be in, but just so you know.
It's it's one of those things where
fact of the day.
It's probably it's straight fear. I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those things where there's not. If you're in that situation, if you're staying calm, a lot of these people just aren't calm. Like, you got that one guy who's just like tweaking out. Those people aren't going to have the rational thought to do something like that. But you had like the woman who ends up getting her head cut off. She was pretty calm, and there was another woman in the elevator who was calm. I'm like, men are dumb. So I put what the fuck after this, because the whole elevator thing with the woman just was like, why did you do that? What is wrong with you? So then we cut to a woman lying in a shower, conveniently covered by the shower curtain. And she gets up. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know who she is. She pretty much is just completely clueless on what's happening. And I put free the nip, because you get a good nip shot from me.
Yes, amnesia, okay? Just let
There's
her
a lot
be.
of gifts in this.
She's
Yeah,
looking
and it's
for, she walks into the bedroom and there's a red dress laying on the bed, and then she gets dressed and she's looking through like a dresser, and she's got, it's got clothes, but then she opens up a drawer and it's just full of guns. Like, oh, why are those
America.
there? What
Am
is
I right?
happening? Yeah. What is happening? And as she pretty much ventures out into the mansion, she runs into this guy just comes out of nowhere and like grabs her and is trying to get her out of there. But then this giant military group comes crashing through the windows. It's like a SWAT team comes in. They're all talking to each other. Pretty much one of them pins Alice up against the wall. Her name is Alice, but funny thing is, you don't know her name until the credits. They do not say her name once in this movie. You
Nope.
don't know her name is Alice until you watch the credits where it shows the actors and what character they play. Crazy. But her name is Alice, and she is...
Which is Alice in Wonderland. Haha.
Is it though? Is that where her name comes from?
Oh,
I don't know, because there isn't a single person named Alice in any of the Resident Evil games.
but Alice
No,
in
she
Wonderland
is,
is where you came with the Red Queen.
That makes sense though. Because of the
Red
Red Queen, Alice is trying to stop the Red Queen. Makes
Yeah.
sense. I like it. Let's go with it. And it probably is right.
That's what I was going with. I don't know.
I
actually don't.
If it's not right, I can guarantee you that the producers are like, yeah, that's what we meant.
I know nothing, but it sounded cool.
Let me message Mila real quick
You're like,
with my
no.
my vast followers. Yeah, but before that, she picks up a picture. She sees her with a guy. She doesn't know who the guy is because she has amnesia and she doesn't know anything. But yeah, she goes into this. She meets, or this guy just comes out of nowhere. This SWAT team comes in. They pin her up against the wall, and he's trying to get information out of her, but she has no idea what the hell he's talking about. Which pretty much you find out that she works for the same agency as all these other soldiers, which they all work for Umbrella. And they're trying to break in, or they're trying to gain access into the Hive, which Alice and her husband were tasked to protect the entrance to the Hive. They gain access to this underground area, which is where this underground train is, and they are taking this train to the Hive, which is you will find out is the area from the beginning of the movie. It's not somewhere new. It is literally, you will see everything that you saw before in the beginning. You're going to see it again. Michelle Rodriguez, aka Rain, is a badass. That's one of my notes. She's just intense. Always, the guys of the group are trying to mess with her, but she just doesn't give a shit. And she always has some amazing comeback for him. And then Alice's husband shows up, Spence, which he also is in the same situation. He has no idea who he is, where he is, and what the hell is going on. But you find out that they all work for Umbrella. They're all soldiers. What was their main purpose? Was their main purpose just to go there to stop the Red Queen?
Yes. So their main purpose going there was to be able to go stop the Red Queen from completely and totally destroying the labs, because they wanted to be able to go in there and recover something from her. And outside of the mainframe in the Hive, they can't recover anything that's out there. They can't recover any of their tests. And specifically, they really wanted the virus and antivirus, because that's what they've been working for the entire time. But they didn't want to tell the team of agents what they were actually seeking down there. All they did was tell them, no, you got to turn off the Red Queen.
So they are told that Alice and her husband Spence, because it was a fake marriage, all as a ploy, they were pretty much stationed there to protect the entrance to the Hive, which is under Raccoon City. What a great name for a city. my wife actually laughed at this when they said it.
Everybody
She's like,
trash
Raccoon
panda.
City? Like, what?
Yeah. Because you don't expect zombies, you expect trash pandas.
I had to tell her, I was like, that's the city that the games are based out of. So gotta, good callback. And then I said, oh shit, the hive is the same location as the beginning where the virus was unleashed. Oh my God. And one of the agents is up, or it was so you find out that the guy who like attacks Alice before the SWAT team comes in is a cop. What was his name? I missed it. I just called him Cop Guy for the duration of this movie. I might have it at the end of my my notes here.
I don't know. Just go Cop Man. I don't know.
He's just Cop Guy.
Oh,
man.
Cop Guy to the rescue.
So he's standing by the windows, which are all just so they put like a projection of a city skyline or like just a downtown of a city so that people don't feel claustrophobic. It's a really cool like illusion to make it look like it was in a skyscraper instead of it being very far underground.
So they don't go insane because being locked underground and in a dark, dismal area where you can't have like much social interaction is going to drive you mad.
100%. So yeah, the Red Queen is always watching. The Red Queen, so at this point you think that the Red Queen unleashed the virus onto the labs, which you will find out it wasn't quite how it all went down. But yeah, so we all think that it was all a ploy for the Red Queen to just kill everybody and see, what the T virus could do, sort of. But you find out later that that's not the case. Awesome effect with the scientist in the water when they walk by the lab and they see the floating scientist there and she's like dead and she's got her eyes closed and then her eyes open. Really bad effects there. She like puts her hand on the glass with the really bad CG like eyes. Like what the
like nobody's gonna notice that someone just went thump right on the side of a silent lab.
Yeah.
It is absolutely silent. All you can hear are footsteps from your cohorts. Yep. And you don't hear the big giant thud when she hits against the window. Really?
I guess not. People just have bad hearing in this movie. And then they enter into a room. It's like a containment room. It's a bunch of containment pods, and it's really foggy. Did they mention why it's so foggy in there? It doesn't make any sense to me. They activated some what is that called? Dry ice on the floors. And they got that fog that's like ankle high. Like, why is it like this? It's just to make it more ominous. Like this is a dangerous place. We got to make sure it's all foggy on the floors in this containment area. What the hell is that?
In a lab.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever walked into a like office building?
Yes.
And
just fog everywhere. Just like what's happening in here? Somebody open a window. The containers, they peer in. The containers are filled with, you don't really get to see the full creature that's in the containment, in the container itself. But it's like there's things like inside of a brain. It kind of gives you like a silhouette of what it is, but is going to be something scary later. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
If you're scared of really bad CG. And then we get to the infamous laser room scene, which even if you've never seen this movie, you have had to have seen this one scene. It's infamous. So they go into this area where they have to access the room that the Red Queen is located. But in between is a very bright room that you later find out has lasers in it to prevent. It's a defense mechanism that the Red Queen activates that prevents people from entering. Well, they don't know that. The leader, which I don't know any of the soldiers' names other than J.D. Kaplan and Rain. Who is the main? Damon?
Dana.
That was the first guy?
No, it's one of the female.
Oh, was that the doctor? The one who is an idiot? Okay.
Oh
one
yeah,
who-
the one who's trying to steal it.
Yeah.
It's just the I think it's the guy who gets his coffee spilled on him.
And James.
What was the?
Sister.
Yeah, it was the cop. Yeah, the cop's sister. Right, that was Lisa. Who was the leader of the Umbrella Soldiers? The one who gets the honeycomb lasers. This movie. No, we get
Name
no.
the movie. Look,
Name
I wanted
that
to
guy.
marry Rain. I wanted to marry Rain. I wanted to be Alice, and I felt bad for Kaplan.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. I don't know anybody else.
It was.
I
It
watched
was
the whole movie last night. I have no idea.
the leader of. Okay, so the leader of the group goes in. He's gonna try to open up the door. He's having Kaplan is like the tech guy. He's trying to get the passcode in to open up the door to get into the Red Queen area, in which they do. They get the door open, but as they are about to go in, both doors shut. The door leading into it and then the door leading to the Red Queen both shut, and that's when we get the laser dance. At first, you get a single laser, which literally the leader goes duck. Where was the woman? What was she doing? Did she? What are you doing, lady? She doesn't pay attention. She gets a nice slice. So one soldier gets like a few fingers chopped off, but the lady behind them gets her like top of her head chopped off because she doesn't listen. And I don't remember how did the second guy the second guy tried to jump, but the laser moves, so it chops him perfectly in half. And then another laser comes, the leader there, he does like a cool move where he grabs onto the ceiling and like goes flat like this, so the laser like hits like something that's dangling off his belt. But then he's getting ready for the next one to come, and it's just a single laser that moves into 4 lasers, and then it shoots off into a honeycomb. And right as Kaplan deactivates the lasers, it's just too late. The
Which
lasers
gives you one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever, when his eyeball melts. Oh, just turns into that goopy
Yep.
grossness, and you're just like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
That's
Yikes. And yep, the leader gets
Poor James.
chopped into bits. But guess
R.I.P.
what? The
James.
lasers. Oh, that's what his name was?
James was the one that got diced up.
Okay. But they need to complete the mission. Kaplan is shook up, but he is like, we got to finish this. So Alice goes with him because Spence is like, I ain't going in there. Did you guys see what I saw? Because no, thank you. So Alice and Kaplan go in. They put this device to pretty much shut down the Red Queen, like to turn off her security measures or something? Or was it to like completely deactivate her?
They were going in to actually like fully. So what they wanted to do was leave the power on, but to fully deactivate her and leave.
Okay.
Because she was hell-bent on just killing everybody, which funny enough, if she hadn't began killing people, then everybody could have lived. They could have just made more antivirus.
Right.
And that's like, why were these people not vaccinated if they had the antivirus? Why did they not have enough antivirus to be able to save people? I have questions. It was already created. It was already done being made. It was a finished product. Why didn't they have more?
Clearly, Umbrella had plans really early on
Umbrella
for something like this. Umbrella sucks.
Umbrella, every corporation ever.
Did you like the Nintendo DS that Kaplan was using to deactivate the door?
Mm-hmm.
It literally looked like he had a Nintendo DS like glued onto his arm. He just flips it up like beep, beep, beep. Oh man. Really awesome effect on the hollow Red Queen. Oh my god, you couldn't have made that any better. That was awful. Like what? And then of course
It
they give
was
her
like half of it was just a picture,
yeah.
and then they just like had. It was like they had a paper printout of it, and they had her lips, and they like pulled it apart
Yes.
sometimes.
Her lips don't match with what she's saying. It just her mouth just does this. You're like, okay.
Mhm.
And of course they had to give her a British accent because nothing is creepier than a little child with a British accent, I guess. I find them adorable,
Right.
but I guess it's creepy. I guess if you like heard one in like a dark room.
No. When she says you're all gonna die down here, that's not cute. It's not cute at all.
Well, it's not a good, yeah.
You don't think it would be adorable to see a little like 8-year-old child just be like, "You're all going to die down here," just like,
Oh, why would you
guess
say that?
I guess it depends on the situation. Like if I told her to say it, yes, I think it was cute. If she said it out of nowhere while I'm in the basement, I'd say no, not okay.
while you're like actively trying to shut her down, and she's like,
Yeah.
"I'll kill you all," and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
mm,
Oh, good.
damn."
The funniest thing
Okay.
is like Kaplan is telling Alice like, don't listen to her, don't let her manipulate you. I was like, she's a computer. I'm not listening to her because we all know how this goes. All right, we've all seen Terminator. AI is scary. All right, no,
It's mean.
stop it.
AI doesn't like people.
No,
People
they don't.
are variants, and computers don't like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, they knock the power out, pretty much shutting the Red Queen down, but it unlocks all the doors to the facility, the labs, everything, meaning the dead are coming.
Yay.
So Rain is exploring an area and she finds a survivor. Find out it's not a survivor, it's a zombie, which I guess they didn't. I didn't know this, but it says that they didn't actually call them zombies for like.
Mm-mm.
Was it the whole movie? I swear to God, they said it at least once.
Mm-mm.
They don't say it at all. They just call them like they're like reanimated, right? They just said like they were just calling them like reanimated corpses. They didn't actually state that. I liked it. That's cool. It's one of those things where it probably is not a zombies.
I don't
unless
really
you watch a
think of them as
zombie
zombies
movie.
anyways. Well, if you like, not to bring it up, but like if you watch The Walking Dead, like that's what I picture as a zombie. This I didn't picture as a zombie. Like it's just a different.
No, they're
Like, these
zombies.
are like no, but like to me they're like more superhuman.
Well,
like,
there
I
are
think of-
superhuman zombies, Adam.
No, I'm saying like what I picture as a zombie is like The Walking Dead, where they're just like slow, like
Oh, they
where these are
were.
like
These ones are also extremely slow. The only
Yes.
difference is there was a ton of them in a very, very confined space. The hive is not large.
Yeah, when I watched this was these were typical zombies to me. There was
Yeah.
there wasn't like what you watch with like World War Z. Have you ever seen World War Z? Those zombies are like Usain Bolts. Like they're still zombies, but they're just have different like I get it's all based on the virus, whatever causes them to become, and we'll see in later Resident Evil movies, like there's different types of these zombies. Some are fucking brutes, some are faster, and then you get these are your typical, George A. Romero zombies, like Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead zombies. But yeah, so Rain is exploring and she finds her survivor, but it's not a survivor. It's the undead. And it bites her in the hand. But no one knows what the effects are once one of these creatures bites you. So she just wraps it up, but like they're confused, and the guy's like, "Don't come any closer!" Like, dude, like this thing is growling at you. Just get rid of it. And Rain ends up just taking her machine gun and blasts it across the room. And then she says some really bad line to the guy she's with, JD, who I feel like, did they have a relationship? I feel like there was like something hidden there.
Tension.
Mm.
There's a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
And I do believe that he was the one that she worked with the longest out
Mm.
of all of them. That like they were working partners for the longest period of time.
That makes sense. Just the way that she reacts to things happening to him more than like maybe reacting to something happening to somebody else in the crew. But yeah, so everybody comes in, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? But then they look down the hallways and there they come, slow as ever, coming down the hallway, and they all just start shooting them. They're like, what is that? And it's like it's like when you play Left 4 Dead. It's literally they just took something from that and put it in this movie. It's just a really bad, like, it's like cut points everywhere where it's going to every single character as they're shooting. And wow, I was dizzy after this was over because it was like
Brain to get into and like to absorb in like
what is
I think
going
it's
on?
like 5 seconds. It's just an onslaught in your brain of every character as well as every zombie because it's like it's got to show them all, and then it shows that they're like shooting people in the legs and stuff like that, and you're just like, I don't know about you, but if one of my colleagues got bit by a rabid human being, which we know about rabies is a thing that exists, even if we didn't know about zombies. One of my friends got bit by a rabid human being, I'd be like, no, we're going for headshots. We're doing this. We're not playing this game anymore. We're just going to aim like, we're going to go for it. And at least if you're spraying and praying, you're going to make contact with a lot of them in a big cluster like that, so densely packed together, instead of aiming for shins and knees.
Very true. Because yeah, they're like, I put 5 bullets in that thing and it did nothing. And it was like, okay, so clearly we're just gonna wait until they get farther down the hallway before we start shooting these things. Like, let's just go. All right. So yeah, so that was absolute chaos. I was absolutely just like, when it was over, I was trying to regain, my composure. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? But there was a lot of good shooting going on. Did you see that? Like they kept like zooming in on their guns and they would like shoot a container. You're like, what the fuck are they doing? They're all in a single group right in front of you, and you're shooting. This is like this is stormtrooper aim from Star Wars. Okay, no one knows how to aim. These are all professional. I'm guessing professionally trained soldiers. Wow, really good. Then we get an explosion, and as that explosion happens, we get flashbacks too, because Alice is starting to remember things slowly about what the hell her purpose was, like what she was doing, and all that. We get a man on fire. The first time, or we're trying to figure out how to get into this room to escape all the zombies, and Kaplan he can't figure it out. He can't, he can't punch in the code, and Spence is just kind of chill. He's just like, you gonna open that door? You gonna get it? You gonna do that? And then yeah, you're gonna do that. And then JD's like, let me do it. He's asking for the code. Kaplan can't get it right. He finally figures it out. And as the doors open, it's a horde of zombies, and they take JD, and that's when Rain is like, JD! As JD is pulled into the room, and he ain't getting out of there.
And she gets like 15 bites, and JD's just a Big Mac laying on the ground with a lot of hungry park goers, and it's just a real big travesty inside of that elevator.
Yep. And we'll get to this scene in a little bit, but my favorite thing is when someone in a zombie movie dies and becomes a zombie, and then someone who's alive, still a human, sees that person again as the zombie, and they're like, oh my God. You're like, it's a fucking zombie. You could tell. Shoot the damn thing. He doesn't know you. Oh my God.
Due to Resident Evil, I have thought extensively throughout my life about what I would do in a zombie apocalypse. Now, first things first. Yeah, I would try to save my friends and stuff like that. I would try to save my family. I would try to make sure that we could all meet up and get together and whatever. But let's say that I find out that that's not a possibility and I'm just kind of on my own. and I see one of my family members who has been turned. Nope, don't care.
Yep. Like
Not a
it's too
problem with
late.
that at
Like
all.
as much as I'm gonna be distraught about it, I gotta do what I gotta do. Like they're already turned. There's nothing I can do to get them back to normal again.
I think
gotta,
that's the difference.
and they're
between,
suffering.
Like,
you know.
I think it's the difference between like reality and like movies. So it's for dramatic effect because
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I think
a lot of it is because if you're in a life or death situation, you know it regardless of whether it's a person that you love or not. Unless you've been like mentally conditioned, generally people will react in a very fight or flight response.
I think
So
the
they
only
will save themselves.
yeah, I think the only like realistic sense of like the movies is that how you feel. Like obviously if I did that, like I would respond a lot quicker than these people do, and I would kill this zombie even if it was my family. But I'm still gonna feel horrible, like in the end. Like it's gonna suck to see, first it's gonna suck seeing them as a zombie, then it's gonna suck killing them. But I wouldn't sit there for 15 and a half minutes going, well, they might still come back. Like, no, that's not, it's fight or flight. So,
Yeah. So JD is dead. And then we get
Right.
the infamous scene of the liquor breaking out of its container. And boy, is the CG fucking awful. It's just terrible.
Rough.
Oh, man. Then we get the blame game going around where you got Kaplan and Rain and everybody throwing around their blame, whose fault it is that, JD is dead. And then she's yelling at Kaplan because Kaplan is the one who deactivated the Red Queen, which then opened all the doors, which then got all the zombies in there. How the hell was he supposed to know that these things were there? Huh? You're mad. You're just sad because JD's dead. It's okay, Rain. You can just grieve. Alice is walking in a room by herself, and you find out it's the room where all the dogs were kept, and she sees all the crates that they were in have all been broken out of, and like the bars are all bent, which is really cool as she's walking through. And she goes down the hallway, and does she get attacked by the zombie, or is this after she goes into that room? Because there's like a room off of the room she's in. Because I know she gets attacked by it was like a security guard zombie.
Yeah.
And that's when she like beats the shit out of it, and you're like, oh shit, she's a badass.
Yeah, she punches him in the mouth, and I was like,
okay,
that's a bad idea, but okay.
Poor place to punch a zombie.
Yeah, like worst idea ever, but okay. I can't remember.
Actually, I think it was the she goes into the room, she turns around because she hears like the clicking of the.
I thought she sees the dog first.
She
and then
does.
She runs into
the
room and sees the zombie, punches him, and then kung fu freaking does some weird.
Well, no,
shit
she just beats the shit out of him like normal, just punching.
I thought she kung fu kicks him. She definitely.
Oh no, yeah, she does roundhouse him. Actually, I think I have that in my notes.
She breaks the snack of the,
yep,
like,
it says,
roundhouse.
I put okay, Alice with the roundhouse kick.
Yeah, but before that, she sees the fleshless dog.
She sees all the dogs come in because she hears the clicking of their nails as they're walking across the floor, and she turns and she sees the one, and then there's like 6 of them, and you're like, oh shit, and it like zooms in on them, and like some of them, one's missing a neck, and their teeth are all nasty, and this is a throwback. This is a callback to the original Resident Evil, right, with the zombie dog. Right? Was there only one in the game? Or was there a couple?
In the original game, I think there were 4.
Okay.
And then in the remake of 1, they added, I think, another 6, 7, something around there. Like, they added a lot of them.
Damn.
The vast majority of them you can just avoid and, like, never fight. You just gotta be fast enough. You gotta run past them fast enough and get the things and then run away.
What's the fun in that?
Right? They force you to fight one in the original. Well, not in the original, in the HD remake. They force you to fight not 1 but 2 actually. you have to go out and there's a key around one of their necks because they're guard dogs, right? So obviously you got to put a key around your dog's neck. That is vicious.
Yes.
And so you have to use dog whistle, and then depending on what difficulty you're on, it's either 1 to 3 dogs show up, and you don't know which one has the key, so you got to kill them all.
Oh,
See,
I hate that.
yeah.
terrible.
I don't
actually.
feel as guilty killing zombie dogs. It's when I have to kill actual dogs in a game that I'm like,
I felt weird. I felt weird in a couple games where I was killing dogs and I went there. Okay, there's zombie dogs, so
yeah.
it's
Not a
still
fan of killing.
it's still a little weird. I still don't like it,
I mean, I was like,
but it's a game. So I mean, it is. I mean, it's virtual.
so Alice has really amazing aim and kills like every dog with like one shot, except for there was one left, and she runs into a room, a little tiny room, where she then is met with a zombie security guard who she literally punches a bunch of times and then roundhouse kicks him. And the dog, and then we have the one survivor of the dogs that crashes through the window. She then escapes back into the other room, locks it in.
So I feel like we should say she has that like flashback of how she remembers how she can do this because James told it like she was a security guard and that she was trained.
Well, no, she was yeah, well, she works for the same agency or the same group as all the guys from the beginning, the SWAT guys. So she gets out of the room, she locks the dog into the room, and then the dog comes back out, and she does a cool wall, like she jumps onto the wall, does a cool little kick to the last dog, and we're like, oh, okay. But then we get a flashback to Lisa, who is one of the people from the beginning of the movie that you meet when everything was kind of shutting down. She's the one who comes out. She's like, what's going on? They had to make her really prominent in that scene, so you remembered her when you see her later on in these flashbacks. But yeah, we get a flashback to Lisa, because that is her name, making a deal with Alice, and you find out that she is the cop's sister, because the cop is snooping around looking at stuff in the desk, and he finds a file on her, and then he gets scared by a zombie in another room, but then he turns around and Lisa's standing there, and she does it. And listen, we know she's a zombie, but they made her not look like a zombie. It was like she just had a rough night at the bar. She's just like, I need water and sleep. Like,
yeah, like had she said a single word, honestly, I didn't know she was a zombie until she tried to eat his face.
Yeah,
and I know that they did that on purpose, but like,
I hope it's not.
I
I have to interact with people like, are you a zombie? You're gonna eat my face.
Yeah, like why not just say something to her?
right. He just stands there. He's like,
and
Lisa?
like she just comes up and he's like, "Oh, my sister's giving me a hug," and then she's like, trying to eat his neck, and it's like, bruh, no.
And we get, and then she dies. She gets shot. Is this?
No, doesn't she get stabbed
Oh yeah.
in the back of the neck or whatever?
Yeah. Alice comes from behind and stabs her. And then that's when the cop tells Alice about Umbrella and how they are above the law, that they can do whatever they want without any repercussions. They are scum. They are the worst. But the cop was the one who sent his sister in there as like a mole to figure out what the hell Umbrella was doing. Pretty much to dig up dirt and to try to get the virus so that outside companies could study it and figure out what the fuck it was. But there are zombies everywhere. They need to go back through this laser room because they have to turn the Red Queen back on, because it's the only way that they can seal, and hopefully the only way they can get out of the hive, because they're kind of trapped in here, and the Red Queen is the only one who could pretty much get them out. Rain is angry because JD's dead, and she's going to fight the Red Queen. You do realize it's a computer. I don't know what you're going to do. It's okay, Rain. Grieve.
Put a virus. Okay.
pretty much one of my notes is the T virus is fucking stupid. Why did they make it? Like this is. Oh man, Zombie JD is back, and that's when Rain's like, JD? And then JD comes in and bites her in the neck, and you're like, you fucking idiot. What are you doing, Rain? I mean, she's already gonna die to begin with, but let's just add another, like, she gets bit like 3 or 4 more times in this scene. Was it all from JD, or does she gets bit more than once, right? She gets bit in the neck from JD.
Rain gets bit like 6 times.
No.
She gets an unknown / undisclosed amount when she reached in to grab JD. Prior to that, she got bit like right here on her hand. And then she gets bitten like on the neck, shoulder by JD. And I do believe she gets scratched too at one point. And it's like,
no, she's not doing so good, is what we're saying.
No,
she's doing totally fine until the end of the movie, which blows my mind. Because, like, in the game, technically, like, maybe an hour of time passes before you start seeing people turning into zombies after they get bit. It's roughly around an hour. Meanwhile, she's got, like, 5 hours where they're like trying to make their way back up, and she's just like hunky-dory until finally she starts getting like the chills and the sweats and the shakes from it, and she's like, I can't shoot anymore. And everybody's like, well, yeah, don't shoot then. Like, but until that point, she's totally A-okay. She's just got a bunch of chunks bitten out of her and she's fine.
That's like good advice. I'm getting tired. Don't shoot then. You're good. You're missing half your body.
Her body was.
You're fine.
Her body was so tough. Her body's as tough as her attitude. You know, her body's like, fuck you. We're not turning yet. We're gonna last throughout this movie till the very end.
Body's like, you're gonna get to the surface, and then you're gonna cause the problems.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, okay, let's do that.
So, also Kaplan gets bit a few times, and he is, you think he's going to fall into the big giant group, or somehow he falls into the giant group of zombies and nothing happens. He's able to get his ass back up, crawl back up this pipe. And then he's like, you got to work for your meal, as he's like telling him to go. Also during the zombie attack, Alice has some of the coolest kills on the zombies. She literally like jumps on a pole, wraps her thighs around the zombie and cracks its neck. My note literally reads, thick thighs save lives and kill zombies.
Sure. Someday I will be able to do that with my thighs. I will be able to just snap necks.
Just neck snapping everywhere.
We know who to go to during a zombie apocalypse. We have our personal defender.
I don't even need guns because I've got T's and my thighs.
Oh man,
we are prepped.
We get another shot of the awesome CG monster that's coming. So the liquor, and it's terrible CG.
You know, it's horrible when you say bad CGI and then you go to liquor, because it's like bad CGI liquor. Like I don't like
the
that
liquor
whole sentence.
CG is bad. Say that. And then we get an awesome line from Rain as she's being carried by the cop and I think Spence. She goes, when I get out of here, the first thing I'm going to do is get laid. I'm like, okay, good line. Great. Alice has visions of people working in the hive. She kind of like has like a flashback as she's standing there of people working in the hive before the virus was unleashed. And then I think it's the cop who comes and is like, what's going on? And everything disappears. But then she finds out there's a cure. Blue is the virus and green is the antivirus. So we need to get the green vial, because then we can save Rain's life and Kaplan too, because he's still alive. But then we get some really bad music in this next scene. It is literally Club Hive going on right now. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you remember it came out in 2002, and that's what music people would put in their action
Radio
movies
music.
in the early 2000s.
I told you, music video.
Oh my God.
Rain
Swear to God.
music is kind of the thing.
They called up Slipknot and they're like, can you do the soundtrack for this movie? And they're like, yeah, because I think the end of the movie, the song that plays is a Slipknot song.
There is a Slipknot song at the end of the movie, yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny because when I was watching it last night, a couple of my friends were like, I don't remember the song at all. And I was like, nope. No idea what the song is.
I was like, is that Corey Taylor? Like, is this Slipknot? What is going on right now?
That being said, I could sing half of the soundtrack from what is it, like Night of the Living Dead and stuff like that. And what's the one that they're all in the mall, just like
Dawn of the
Living
Dead.
Dead? I think.
Dawn of the
Dawn
Dead.
of the Dead.
Yeah.
I can sing pretty well that entire soundtrack with Richard Cheese. I got you, boo. But like this one, not a fucking clue.
Yeah, I was like, what the
There's
fuck?
nothing.
The music choice. And I found out after I watched the movie, I found out Marilyn Manson actually helped write the soundtrack for this movie. And I was like, well, that makes fucking sense. Fucking garbage. We find out as they go into the lab, Spence is the one who released the virus. They show a flashback of him going into, he overhears Alice and Lisa talking about, Alice is like, I can get you pretty much everything. Pretty much Alice was going to help stop Umbrella, and Spence is like, fuck that, goes into the lab, grabs one of the blue T-virus vials, throws it on the floor, and as he's escaping, because he takes actually the case that has all the antivirus, which then you find out, oh shit, there's no antivirus in the lab. He's the one who runs into the guy who spills his coffee all over. Like, oh, okay, cool. Throwback scene we didn't need.
Yeah, you're a douchebag.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. So yeah, then he
Just a
turns.
gentle douchebag, though.
Yeah.
Just
So he's the
a
bad
gentle one.
guy. So he's the bad guy of this movie. But you get a really cool shot of one of the lab workers, the zombie lab worker, rising from the water just straight up. And I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty cool shot. And then she gets up and she goes behind Spence and bites him. And so Spence is like, well, shit, I got to get out of here and shoot myself up with some of this antivirus. But fuck all you, I'm locking you in here. Spence, Spence makes it back to the train really fast, by the way. It's a really quick from lab to train scene. And he's prepping himself to shoot up some of that anti-vax, and bad CG liquor comes down and eats him, pretty much attacks him, kills him. And bye, Spence.
Those bad liquors.
The Red Queen then tries to make a deal with Alice and Rain and the cop. And they're like, you can get out, but Rain has to die because she is infected. And they're like, fuck you. And what? My notes don't make any sense. You find out that Kaplan is still alive. And he fries the Red Queen again. So he shuts down everything, which then opens the doors.
He fries her at the exact same time that Alice smashes the computer face that's inside of the room,
and
where Red Queen's like, kill her! And everybody else is like, just do it! And then she smashes the Red Queen. And I was like,
okay. All right.
I'll take it.
Okay.
At least you left Rain alive. I'll take it.
Right. And the liquor's also hitting the window, right, of the lab as they're in there trying to get out. And so it's like all perfect timing. They get out. They go to the train where the antivirus is, and Alice sees Spence's body just kind of lumped over. And as she reaches to get one of the antiviruses out of there, he becomes, he's a zombie now. So he starts attacking her, and she subdues him and chops his head off. Bye, Spence.
It's very romantic.
So Rain and Kaplan get the antivirus, but as the Red Queen said, probably not going to work because they've been exposed for so long, especially Rain. She's been bit since pretty much the beginning of this movie, and yet she's still not a zombie. But hey, We're going to try it. And she says to Alice, please don't let me become one of those things. And Alice is like, I promise. And then 5 seconds later, her promise is broken. So yeah. So,
beautiful zombie in the whole movie.
yeah. Well, you get the scene where Alice thinks that Rain is dead. And she's like, oh. And then she's like, she's about to shoot her. Because I remember she's like, she's going to like end her. And she's like, I'm not dead. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
The bad CG monster attacks the train. Finally, Kaplan is dead because he's the one who's actually driving the train. He gets yanked out of the train. Alice shoots the monster with a really cool slow-mo bullet because we need those. Why do movies do this? Slow-mo is just bad. Slow motion just sucks. Can we stop doing it, directors? It's bad.
Yeah.
Is that bad in every movie though?
I mean, I guess some movies are good at it. Like,
very few instances where like the slow-mo is worth it.
Yeah.
Or is it just bad in older movies where they didn't know how to use it in the right parts?
Yeah, you're right. As long as somebody can do it correctly. Like, the Matrix. Matrix did slow motion, but like it made sense to the movie. Like, why do I need this? Because the slow-mo bullet that shoots it in the head doesn't kill it. It keeps attacking, and you're like,
before is like,
why?
Movies now have progressed so far that there's like a lot of slow motion scenes where they fit so well. Where like back then they probably didn't know where they kind of shoot. It probably was like an experiment.
Adam,
let's try this.
Best slow motion is when Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are on the ground and they get up slowly in Bad Boys, and it's that pan shot where it like goes around them in slow motion as Will Smith has his like shirt open and Martin Lawrence is like out of breath. Yes, that's good slow motion right there.
Well, like when Will Smith shoots him in the ass, I mean, those are good slow motion stuff. No, I think there's certain movies that just they know where to put it, where some movies just kind of threw it. Like,
I don't know. This was just a pointless scene.
Cool.
But this in my notes, I said this monster likes to tongue. Didn't realize it was called a liquor until today. Well, I didn't know that until today, so that's why it's in my notes like that. So Alice then stabs the tongue. Rain turns pretty much right after she tells Alice, "Don't let me turn into one of those things." She dies because she gets shot in the head, right? I think the cop shoots her, or does she shoot her?
Oh man.
One of them shoots him. She shoots Alice, or she shoots Rain. Rain then falls into the door opening because they're trying to get the door that's in the floor open for the monster to fall through. But the guy can't get there because he then has to fight zombie Rain, and then ends up shooting her in the head. She falls into the button that opens the door, and then the monster falls through and pretty much like grinds up against the rails until it just bursts into flames. Alice and the cop casually walk out of this out of the hive as it's closing behind them, just casually. Nobody's in a hurry. I want to get the fuck out of there as fast as I can. These people are literally walking like they're walking through the mall, like looking at what shop we want to go to. Get the fuck out of there. What are you doing? Just casually walking up the stairs. As they get to a certain room, Alice falls because she's like feeling bad. She breaks down as the cop, as they're about to get out of the mansion. I'd be like, the cop be like, let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here. Did you have something to say, Piggy?
No.
Oh.
He was holding something.
The lack of urgency at the end of this movie just really fucks me up. Like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like, okay, the liquor died, and then after that, they're like, okay, let's just.
You're tired, okay? You're worn out.
I'm getting I don't care. Just get the
hunter. I don't like. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the fact that I've got these thick thighs that they've just got so much energy pent up inside of them that at the end of all of this, I would still be able to burst sprint my ass out of there.
Have you ever faced a liquor?
I have faced many a fast person in my life. Maybe not liquor, but even if, like, as long as you survive, I'd still run out of there. I would not be casually walking with these.
If I face a liquor, it can't get worse. All right, so I don't care what.
I'm running as fast as I possibly can until it catches me. I'm not casually walking out of there.
You can find the things that are coming after you that could be worse.
I mean, at this point, what else? Like, there's a freaking thing called a liquor. Oh, what's chasing you? A liquor. Like,
out of all of the Resident Evil things that they included in these movies, I am upset that it ended at the liquor. Like, there's so many other amazing creatures in Resident Evil, even just Resident Evil 1 alone. There are the weird things in the sewers that I forget what they're called because I hate them so much. They're like these frog people with scales, and they try to attack you, and they come running after you. There's a big giant superfish. There is a zombie shark. There is a zombie shark. Okay, why? Where was the zombie shark in this game?
it wasn't in the budget. Okay.
We need them. Okay, sharks that are just existing there. We had a
they
whole
can
movie.
only afford the liquor. Okay.
This could have been Jaws 2.0, and instead they turned around and they were like, "We're gonna end it at the liquor. We're not even gonna add the tyrant."
Baby shark wanted to lick things. They wanted to lick things, so that's what they put in their budget.
They could have done Baby Shark.
Listen.
Yeah.
They could have put the shark from the last Jaws, and it would have probably done a little better because that was just a toy shark in a bathtub.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
But back to the main point. You're going to casually walk after fighting a liquor up the stairs when you have no idea if something else is going to be following you and coming close. What if the liquor's family is upset that you just killed their cousin?
I think I'm very out of shape, so I think it didn't matter.
I feel like you should probably chance that asthma attack and get up those stairs pretty fast.
I'll try to run.
No,
I feel like
it's just me. You're in that situation. You're running. I don't
honest to God, like if you're in a situation like in this type of situation, if you've seen something so horrible and like you fought all these horrible things, do you get to a point where you're kind of like, okay, it doesn't get much worse than this? So
it does if you're not dead.
What?
Your fight or flight response will still react even if you have been in a constant state.
But you're still human. So how far can you run after you've been fighting?
All you've got to do is get up the stairs.
I'm not Forrest Gump.
Adam, I think you are just literally making it like you're just a big glob on the floor. Like, do we need to? Are you?
I'm
okay?
I'm not saying I wouldn't run. I'm not saying I wouldn't run. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
you're giving yourself no chance at this, and we're out of here. Peace.
You would be security.
I would have threw one stab at this liquor, and I would have been gassed. I would have been like, okay, I hope it's dead. Run. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you don't give enough credit for how exhausting fighting something is, because I'd be exhausted.
Oh yeah, the green guys are just called hunters. Like, they're just called hunters because they hunt you. And it's like...
And I'm not a hunter.
Very creative.
These are. God forbid you come across a tyrant. Oh, God.
No, I guess in this particular scene, I'd be able to run. But I guess there's some parts in certain things I'm like, people are like, why didn't you just run? I would have been dead a long time ago. So I don't know what you're talking about.
See, like, in enclosed areas, I'm not good. I'm not good at all, but because like I'm one of those people that like if zombies ever happened, if I got stuck in like a mall or something with a bunch of zombies, I would be completely screwed. I would run and I'd be like, that's a door, and in turn, it's a window that doesn't open. And I would just stand there and be like, well, I'm sad. Like I probably wouldn't even try to break it. I'd just be like, okay, bye. But if I'm outside, I am just a lot more resourceful in the open air, and I don't know why.
It's the thighs. It's the thighs.
Yeah, the thighs only work outside. They
Yeah.
are solar activated.
All right.
The sun drives the thighs.
The amount of time we just took talking about them
Whether or
walking
not
up a set of stairs.
Or run up the stairs.
Listen, Brett.
It's more interesting than
You're-
the ending. Of this
You are tired every time you walk up those basement stairs, and you didn't fight a licker.
I mean, let's chill out.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Let's just chill out.
he's like, I know you're right, but I don't fight a licker anytime soon.
So we find out the cop is infected. And then there's like a room that opens and just big bright light just shines out of it. We get some lab workers that come out to they come out of the fucking heaven to grab him as he's in pain. He's mutating, as they say. And they talk about the Nemesis program. Oh, snap! If you've played, was it 2 or 3 Nemesis?
3.
3. So if you have ever played Resident Evil 3, it's a reference to the main antagonist of that, which we'll see soon. So that's a cool drop there. And then we cut to Alice waking up with like 100 IVs stabbed into her. Like she has literally an IV in every orifice of her fucking body. She's got like 8 of them on the side of her head, like on both sides. She's got them going all the way down her body. It's like, what the fuck are you pumping into this girl? She wakes up. She starts pulling them all out. She falls off the table. You get a shot there. She then breaks out of the room using one of those IVs. She like literally cracks the lock. Like, what the fuck?
How are we going to bypass the fact that she is literally dressed in 2 sheets of paper and some cording?
Yes. She.
Are you against that?
No, but we have to mention it. It needs an honorable mention because it's better than a lot of the parts of this movie.
So since we're talking about this, there was a fact that stated that when they shot, so the shot that you see in the movie was the first shot, because they actually, when she falls off the bed, you see her lower bits, you know, and you see, and I guess there was some pubic hairs that showed, and they were actually going to reshoot it so it didn't show that, and she said, "No, keep it. It's fine."
Who cares?
All right.
It's hair. I got a lot of pubic hairs on my chin right now. So.
But yeah, just I figured since we were, gonna talk about what she's wearing in the scene,
That's kind of an odd take. Why'd you look that up?
It was part of the trivia. I'm sorry. We were talking about what she was wearing in the scene.
Like that's the one thing I didn't think about. I was like, why?
Yeah, now you know. Now you know.
Well, I'm very informed.
I don't remember seeing as much of Mila in this movie as I did as a child, but all right.
Piggy's like, I did.
They see.
I remember everything.
You see
all those.
You see like a shadow figure walk. He's in like an observation room. You see him walk by the window. She doesn't see it, but she starts banging on the window to see if anybody's in there. And it shows a bunch of monitors. There's like freaking 10 of them in there showing like her at every angle. And then she ends up finding a lab coat, puts it on, and wanders out into the vast wasteland that is Raccoon City. And somehow she found a shotgun. I don't know. What did she take it off of somebody? I didn't see her grab it. She just has a shotgun. Okay.
The lab coat's just like laying off to the side because normal hospitals leave lab coats just laying around.
We also get a shot of a newspaper that said The Dead Walk, which is actually a throwback to the original Night of the Living Dead. And then her like she pumps a shotgun, and then it shows a zoom out shot of her in the literally wasteland of Raccoon City. Cars overturned. It's just chaos.
Does anyone have trivia on why it's called Raccoon City?
No, it's just
that's a horrible name.
It's just the city that they named in the games.
No, I know. I guess trash pandas.
You do have to remember. You have to remember that these games were made by a Japanese company.
Do they like raccoons?
So I don't know. There's some odd things that they incorporated into. Capcom has incorporated into a lot of their games. And then we get a really cool Slipknot song playing during the credits. Whoa! I was like, what the fuck is this? It was so...
It was all about that. She was jamming out.
I was actually, I was sitting there for like 2 minutes like, is this Slipknot?
I'm not going to lie. As soon as the movie was like that, like I saw the credits, I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. So I didn't hear it, but I bet you it was great.
And that...
We all had a concert.
Ladies and gentlemen, is Resident Evil 2002. Wow. This movie was a trip. Definitely watching this as an adult. Yeah, since watching the show and being an adult watching this, yeah, I nitpicked this movie a lot more. I laughed at this movie a lot more. And I determined after watching it, I probably will never watch this movie again.
Nah, I'm like, I might, but it would be for like memory's sake. It would definitely be like a, yeah, I'm gonna relive my childhood and also at the same time regret it.
Right. Right. So, what we do usually at the end here is we do a lot of ranking. So we'll rank like the bad guys of the movies, we'll rank the main characters of the movies, and we'll rank the movie itself. Since this is the first movie of the series, they're all at number 1. So we're gonna do, for the bad guy, we'll put Spence and the Red Queen. For like the main character is Alice. We're gonna rank Alice in every movie. Like, how cool is she in this one compared to this one? You know. So she's gonna be number 1 in this, and then this movie will be number 1. But I feel like it will change because I feel like there has to be a better movie than this one in the Resident Evil series.
That's wishful thinking.
But
no,
I could be wrong.
There's like one.
We got 5 more. But boy, this was a trip.
Listen, after next week, they just get worse. So enjoy next week. And
yeah, like next week is the beginning of the end for it, both literally and figuratively. Like next week is where it starts. Like, we've reached a decent peak, which is not very high up from the baseline that we set. We're gonna start going down now. And that's where it is. So I always feel like the second one is actually worth a watch as well, but I have never been able to get past 3. So this is going to be an adventure for all of us to experience, because they go so far. They go so far from everything. So in this movie, the base story of Resident Evil 1 is that there is this big giant mansion. You are running around it. You start finding undead humans just kind of laying in the hallways and like hanging out, which makes you question, why are there just dead bodies sitting in a hallway in the first place? But that's neither here nor there. You're in this giant mansion. You're part of this group called Stars that goes in to go find out why your last team disappeared. You don't know what happened to them. So you go there and you start finding all these dead bodies. Half of these dead bodies are not Stars uniforms. They're just various people. And then you end up in the cellar, which is supposed to be the hive, but it's far more of just like a dungeon. It's not really so much the hive that you see. It's not this big giant business place that's beautiful and like pristine on the inside. It's just kind of like this really terrible little lab. And it looks it looks in the mansion just like it does below everything. And so you end up going down there and whatnot, and you find all these other zombies, which is where you find the lickers and the hunters, and you find all these other things. And then you end up coming across these cool things called Crimson Heads, which are absolutely horrible creatures. They are hyper mutated zombies, where they have now become hunting machines as well as zombies. So they're faster, they're harder to kill, and they can dodge. And the reason for that is because the way that a zombie is supposed to progress is at first your body dies. So you have rigor mortis, you kind of feel gross, you can't move fast as a zombie. You want to eat, but you can't do, like, you're not good at being a zombie yet. But once you get past the point of rigor mortis, which our bodies do, they do soften back up. As soon as that starts happening, you turn into a crimson head, which you are faster, you are able to utilize all of the humans' like physical attributes, but also you can do it without the hindrance of like feeling pain and stuff like that. So they become hyper fast. They don't die as easily, even with headshots, because now like your brain has shrunk because you have been dead for a while as well, and all this other fun logical stuff. But then if they've been so far gone that they have begun decomposing, they start turning into lickers. Because as your body decomposes, it has to readjust so you can continue eating. And that's where lickers come from. Hunters are mutated creatures, like they're like lizards and stuff like that are down in the sewers. And then your tyrant is your nemesis. So the nemesis is actually a form of the tyrant virus. And what ends up happening is they used a human, injected the tyrant virus, which is a far more pure version of the T virus, which T technically stands for tyrant, but they've purified it more to make it far more potent. And then you get creations like in the first one, it's literally just called the tyrant. It is a tyrant, and that's it. It is an uncontrollable bioweapon that mutates and is nearly like you almost cannot kill it. They become a sponge for ammo. They're horrible and atrocious. And the fact that they didn't have them in this movie really disappointed me. Not when I was a kid, but now that I look back on it, because it would have been a really good fight scene at the very end to have a tyrant instead of the licker. Licker could have been just like more fodder inside of the hive. And the dogs were guard dogs and all that fun stuff. But your whole goal is to go in there and to shut down Umbrella and find out where the hell the rest of the Stars team went. And turns out they all died because everybody's zombies. So they're all gone. And so is your team now. And you're the only one who survives. It's strictly Jill and I think Chris. I think Chris lived in the first one. But then in this movie,
he would have had to, right? Because he's been in like almost all of them, right? And they all
yes.
they're all connected, right?
Yes, they are all connected. So timeline wise, it goes 0, 1, 3, 2, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the timeline.
3 and 2 swip flop.
3 actually takes place like 5 hours before 2.
That's crazy.
It is the most innocuous amount of time. It is ridiculous.
Not years, not days, hours.
Hours.
Literal hours. Like, I think 3 starts early in the morning and 2 starts in the afternoon or the evening or something like that. It is so stupid. It is the worst, but yes, it is 3, 2. And then you continue going in order as well. And 0 came out long after 1, of course.
Yeah.
But 0 explains where a lot of this came from with Spencer, which I hate the fact that they used Alice's husband is Spencer, but they just called him Spence because it's cute. And like he's not actually Spencer because Spencer is the owner and creator of Umbrella Corporation,
Okay.
which this Spencer is not. He's just a lowly security guard. Like,
So I looked up the Resident Evil games in order just because I eventually want to play them again. What is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis first half or Resident Evil 3 Nemesis second half? Was it a 2-part game?
yes.
Okay, because it says Resident Evil 0, 1, 3, like you said, 2, but it says 3 first half, 2, 3 second half after that.
Yep.
Oh, and then Survivor Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's
What a mess of
the
games.
yeah. There's 12 now, I think, or something like that are canon. Like there are side stories and whatever that aren't technically canon to the main story, but despite them still being made by Capcom. But that being said, like they do exist and you can still play them. And there are even games that were never fully created that are now released, like Resident Evil, I think it's Gaiden for Game Boy. People found the files for that online and like made little Game Boy cartridges of it. Like they finished the game and then made the cartridges of it. Some people even have the incomplete game that you can purchase. So, which that's cool. I like that, but it makes things really confusing when you're trying to buy the old games because now you don't know what's fake and real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a
But,
movie
yeah.
based on Resident Evil 7 because that game is fucking amazing.
Oh, Resident Evil 7 is essentially just a movie.
So good.
Well, is that Biohazard?
Yeah.
Isn't that what
So-
Resident Evil is called over in Japan?
Yes. Resident Evil is just Biohazard in Japan.
So they just call that
Like-
game Biohazard?
In English, it is named Biohazard, just in Japan. It's not like they have like a totally different name or something.
Right.
It's an English name, which is great. It makes so much sense. I hate it.
So
I
what
wish
was-
they would have
what's-
just called it Biohazard.
What is the story behind them not calling it Resident Evil? Like, what was it?
So Resident Evil, it ended up changing its name coming to America because of the fact that like we are terrified of terrorism. And also it like there's a lot of backstory to it just not being appropriate to call it Biohazard over here. And we wouldn't like that.
Gotcha.
Us being scared of things and all that fun stuff. Whereas over there, like it makes sense that it would be called Biohazard because let's say something like this did happen in Japan. That would be a biohazard. They would have to shut down they'd have to shut down the entire country and essentially put it in like a vacuum. Whereas here, we're so spread out that isn't really a concept to us. And having something that catches your attention, such as Resident Evil, which still doesn't make sense to me, is like it catches your attention a lot more than something called Biohazard. I also think Biohazard was trademarked here at the time for something. I don't remember what.
That
and
makes
now
sense.
it's not.
That makes sense. Well, that is going to do it for today's show. I want to thank Piggy for being here for the first of many shows. We will be back next week to review, dissect, and rank Resident Evil Apocalypse. Boy, this should be interesting. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody for being here, watching the show live. Like I said, if you can't watch the show live, we are on podcast services everywhere, so you can download the show there and listen to it while you're, mowing your lawn, doing housework, whatever however you listen to your podcasts, So yeah, we'll be back next week. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.
I